SABC News reporter Hasina Gori was in court today. Hasina, good evening. It was a tense day outside court. It was a tense day inside court. Just share with our viewers how things developed.
So today was, as you mentioned, quite a tense day. The community and the family members of those four deceased, we were told first that they were siblings, but I want to clarify and just expand on that. That is actually two family members. It was a teenage girl who's 14 years old, her uncle who's the police officer, and two of his friends, one who was a female as well, a 26-year-old female, who all passed on. So their family members were outside court today. The community at large, because what we've heard throughout, this is not an isolated incident. This may be the first reported of this instance, but it's something that has happened quite often in that community where there is crime on that level, where people are just being gunned down senselessly almost, and there's no police visibility. There's not even a police station in that area, in that specific community. There isn't one. So that community came out in their numbers outside court. Inside court, police presence quite heavily. There was also the wardens that were there as well, the patrol wardens patrolling inside the court. There was quite access was only allowed to just a certain amount of people in court A. We also had a delay as well because the docket only arrived post 9 o'clock when court starts, so the senior prosecutor then had to go through that docket and ensure that all was in order before the charges could be placed. So that was what we saw happening. And when they did appear, quite a brief appearance, as expected on a first appearance. They were formally charged 4 counts of murder and 1 of attempted murder. They now will return to court next week on the 12th, where formal bail application will then proceed.
Hasina, as you described, a community that seems to be under siege. These are not isolated incidents, and yet if you look at the scale of this particular incident, it shows high levels of organization and access to quite high caliber weapons. These men were apparently heavily armed, whoever the murderers were ultimately, judging by the array of rifle cartridges and 9mm pistol cartridges as well. Tell us a bit more. Were we able to learn anything about the sequence of these events and how this crime went down?
So what we understand was just after New Year's Eve, one of the family members that we spoke to, he was the uncle of the girl Pomolong, the 26-year-old who was in the car with the constable. From what we understand, that they had spent New Year's Eve on Passover, crossover, in prayers with the grandmother at home, and post New Year's, the constable had called her, had called her to say, let's go out for a bit. So they had driven to an area within the community, a few streets away. They were parked in a car. She was inside the vehicle with him at that time, and he went out to go and speak to his friends. And the young girl, the 14-year-old, was in the yard of her home, and she saw her uncle outside, and she ran to come and greet him. And that's when that shootout then occurred. It's unsure whether the motive exactly was who was the target, if there was a target. There have been rumors and reports from the community we're speaking in that there's gang violence in that community, that they have rifles, they have access, as you mentioned, to quite high level of caliber of these cartridges and stuff like that. So these are just what they've painted so far of what's taken place. They're not really understanding what happened and why. I think that's a question that the family is asking, why this happened and why them specifically. But what we also found out is that there's so much of crime in that community that ambulances don't come in without an escort. So if you have an emergency situation, an ambulance won't come through without an escort. But neither does the bakery that comes to deliver bread come in without an escort. Furniture delivery people don't come in to deliver your furniture because of that high level of crime with that community. I spoke with the councillor asking them, we've seen similar instances in Diepsloot, in other communities. Where is the crime protection? Where's the visible policing? And he says that hopefully when the first meeting sits for this year, that this would be high on their agenda for bringing in crime. But like in Diepsloot, there is concerns that the community will now take things into their own hand. And just to also bring in, the accused are quite young men. They are 30 and 33 years of age. They are known to the community. They're not strangers. They're not foreign nationals. They are local community members that are living within that community. And that was one of the concerns of the defense today, that he didn't want their pictures to be shown, which was denied that access. We are allowed to now, show their images, but they had brought a request saying that that their family members still live within the community, that they could be, face prejudice as well, but that was ruled against.
Wow, there's so much that you said in there, and again, a community that has a history of violence, a community that seems to be under siege constantly. This is certainly going to be a story to watch, and also to talk to police authorities about intervention measures to make that community feel safe again. Tragic developments. Thank you, Hasina, for just sharing with us the very latest. SABC News reporter Hasina Gori.